The ring sparkled beneath the afternoon sun for only a moment before it landed in his open palm, cold, lifeless, and carrying the weight of humiliation that hundreds of watching eyes would never forget. Conversations stopped. Phones appeared in people's hands. Employees whispered. Strangers stared. And standing in the center of the company's annual charity celebration, a successful young executive publicly ended her engagement to a quiet single father everyone assumed was far beneath her status. But what happened next would leave every person in attendance speechless, because the man she had just embarrassed was hiding a truth powerful enough to change her life forever. Before we begin this emotional journey, take a moment to like this video, comment below, share it with someone who believes in second chances, and subscribe to the channel Heart Kindness Tales if you believe kindness, humility, and genuine love can transform even the most broken hearts. It was a bright spring afternoon in the city, with golden sunlight pouring through the glass walls of the luxurious convention center where the annual fundraising event was taking place. Elegant decorations covered every corner, soft music played in the background, and important business leaders mingled with guests dressed in expensive suits and designer dresses. Among them stood Alina Mercer, a rising corporate executive admired for her intelligence, ambition, and confidence. At 32 years old, she had climbed the corporate ladder quickly and had become one of the most recognizable faces in the company. People admired her determination, but many also feared her sharp tongue and perfectionist attitude. Beside her stood Corin Vale, a 36-year-old single father whose calm personality often made him seem ordinary in the eyes of others. He dressed simply, spoke gently, and rarely attended social gatherings. Most people assumed he was merely trying to fit into Alina's sophisticated world. They knew he had a young daughter named Mira and that he devoted most of his time to raising her alone after losing his wife years earlier. What they did not know was that Corin preferred a life away from attention, choosing privacy over recognition and character over status. For nearly 2 years, Alina and Corin had shared a relationship that appeared perfect from the outside. Yet beneath the surface, cracks had begun to appear. Alina's growing desire for prestige and social acceptance slowly overshadowed the qualities that had once attracted her to Corin. She found herself embarrassed by his modest lifestyle, uncomfortable with his reluctance to boast about his achievements, and frustrated by his refusal to compete with wealthy men seeking attention and admiration. Her colleagues often questioned why someone as accomplished as Alina would choose a man who seemed to possess so little. They did not understand why Corin drove an older vehicle, wore simple clothes, or preferred spending weekends helping his daughter paint pictures in the park rather than attending glamorous events. The pressure eventually became too much for Alina. She convinced herself that she deserved someone whose success was visible, someone whose influence could elevate her own reputation. Without realizing it, she allowed pride to replace compassion. That afternoon, standing before co-workers, investors, and guests, she decided to end their engagement publicly. She believed it would free her from judgment and allow her to reclaim the image she desperately wanted others to see. She removed the engagement ring slowly, her expression composed but distant, and placed it into Corin's hand. Many expected tears, anger, or desperate pleas. Instead, Corin simply looked down at the ring and smiled sadly. He seemed less like a man losing the love of his life and more like someone watching a painful lesson unfold. Alina explained that their paths no longer aligned. She spoke about ambition, growth, and the importance of finding partners who shared the same vision for the future. She insisted that their differences had become impossible to ignore. People nodded. Some whispered words of sympathy toward her. Others looked at Corin with pity. Yet he remained remarkably calm. He thanked her softly for her honesty and wished her happiness. The silence that followed felt heavier than any argument. As Alina turned away, believing the chapter had ended, the chairman of the event approached the stage unexpectedly. The elderly man carried a microphone and smiled warmly toward Corin. His voice echoed throughout the hall. He announced that before concluding the event, there was one special guest everyone needed to recognize. People glanced around curiously. Then the chairman introduced Corin Vale as the founder, majority owner, and silent investor responsible for saving the company from bankruptcy 5 years earlier. The room froze. Faces changed instantly. Conversations stopped. Even the musicians paused. Employees stared in disbelief. Executives exchanged confused glances. Alina stood motionless. The company she had dedicated years of her life to building her career within existed largely because of the man she had just humiliated in front of everyone. Corin had inherited a successful family investment group years ago, but unlike many wealthy individuals, he chose anonymity. After losing his wife unexpectedly, he withdrew from public life, focusing entirely on raising his daughter. He rarely attended board meetings, allowing leadership teams to manage daily operations while he supported charitable causes quietly. His wealth had never interested him. His greatest priority had always been Mira. At home, he packed school lunches, attended dance recitals, helped with homework, and read bedtime stories every night. He understood pain because he had lived through it. He understood loneliness because grief had visited him often. And perhaps that was why he valued authenticity above appearances. The chairman continued speaking, praising Corin's generosity, humility, and countless anonymous donations that funded educational programs, healthcare initiatives, and employee assistance funds. Several workers began to realize that scholarships helping their children attend college had come from Corin's foundation. Others remembered financial support during difficult times. Many had unknowingly benefited from his kindness. Alina felt her heartbeat quicken. Memories flooded her mind. She remembered Corin refusing luxury gifts. She remembered him spending hours listening to his daughter describe her dreams. She remembered his patience whenever she complained about office politics. She remembered the warmth in his eyes whenever he spoke about family. And suddenly she understood. She had mistaken humility for weakness. She had confused quiet confidence with lack of ambition. She had measured a person's worth through visible achievements instead of invisible sacrifices. The embarrassment she intended for Corin now settled heavily upon her own shoulders. Yet Corin did not seek revenge. He did not criticize her. He did not expose her mistakes. Instead, he thanked the audience for supporting the company's mission and stepped away from the spotlight. His dignity impressed everyone far more than wealth ever could. Days passed. News about the incident spread across social media. Some criticized Alina harshly. Others defended her. But inside her heart, a battle had already begun. She struggled to sleep. She replayed the moment repeatedly. The image of Corin standing calmly while being rejected haunted her. For the first time in years, she questioned the person she had become. Success had once represented opportunity and purpose. Somewhere along the journey, it had transformed into an endless chase for approval. She began visiting the employee outreach center funded by Corin's foundation. She spoke with families whose lives had changed because of scholarship programs. She met parents receiving emergency assistance during medical crises. She listened to stories of hope. Story after story revealed a side of Corin she had never truly seen. He had paid hospital bills for strangers. He had created mentorship opportunities for young people from disadvantaged backgrounds. He had sponsored community projects without attaching his name. His generosity was not performative. It was genuine. Meanwhile, Corin continued living quietly. Every morning, he walked his daughter to school. Every afternoon, he attended meetings focused on expanding educational programs. Every evening, he returned home to cook dinner and spend time with Mira. Life moved forward. Yet occasionally, he found himself thinking about Alina. Not with bitterness. Not with anger. But with sadness. Because he had once loved her deeply. He had imagined building a future together. He had hoped she would become part of the family he and Mira cherished. But relationships cannot survive where pride grows stronger than empathy. Months later, an unexpected opportunity arrived. The company announced a volunteer initiative serving families affected by economic hardship. Employees from all departments participated. Corin attended with Mira. Alina volunteered as well. It was the first time they had seen each other since the engagement ended. The atmosphere felt uncertain. Mira approached Alina innocently, holding a small drawing. Children rarely judge people the way adults do. The picture showed three figures standing beneath a bright sun. One was Corin. One was Mira. The third person had no face. Mira explained that she had once hoped their family would grow. Alina felt tears forming in her eyes. She realized that heartbreak extends beyond two people. It touches everyone connected to them. She apologized sincerely. Not because of Corin's wealth. Not because of public embarrassment. But because she finally understood the damage caused by valuing image over character. Corin listened quietly. He accepted her apology. He acknowledged that people make mistakes. Growth often begins with painful realizations. Forgiveness, however, does not always mean returning to what once existed. Sometimes forgiveness simply means allowing healing to happen. Alina nodded. She understood. Some opportunities disappear forever. But lessons remain. Inspired by her experience, she transformed her priorities. She devoted herself to charitable initiatives. She mentored younger employees. She focused less on recognition and more on meaningful impact. Gradually, colleagues noticed a different version of Alina. She smiled more. She listened carefully. She celebrated others' successes. She rediscovered the compassion she had buried beneath ambition. Years later, people would remember the afternoon she returned a ring publicly. But they would remember something even more important. They would remember how humiliation became humility. How pride became wisdom. How one painful moment inspired personal transformation. Corin continued raising Mira with love and dedication. Watching his daughter grow brought him immeasurable joy. He taught her that kindness matters more than status. That integrity outlasts popularity. And that the richest people are often those whose generosity remains unseen. Alina eventually found peace within herself. She learned that true success is not measured by titles, salaries, or admiration. It is measured by the lives we improve, the hearts we protect, and the compassion we show when nobody is watching. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs a reminder about the value of kindness, and subscribe to Heart Kindness Tales for more emotional stories that inspire hope and compassion. Special request: comment below with the words, "Kindness always wins," if you believe that a person's true value lies in their heart rather than their wealth.